Valiant fans, and welcome. This is Tyson Agler, and join me is head men's soccer coach Kyle Dezotell. The Valiants just completed a very busy spring. Can you talk about what the Valiants did this spring for their practices?
Yeah, we completed the spring, 5 weeks, 15 practices, and then our one date of competition where we played against NYIT, a really strong New York Institute of Technology, really strong Division II program. But we obviously, me coming on in February, I wanted to start to instill some of my philosophies and start to build the culture within the program that I want us to have. But the guys were great, worked really hard, and had great attitudes, and I think we're doing some different things than what they've done in the past in a lot of ways. But they took it all on board, and we're excited for the future.
You mentioned the Valiants took on New York Institute of Technology, like you said, a very solid Division II program. Can you talk about how Manhattanville did against the Bears?
Yeah, New York IT was very good. They beat us. They were certainly a bit better than us on the night, but I think there were far more positives than negatives from my standpoint. It was important for me when I took over the job. One of my first priorities was to try to find a Division I or Division II team to play in the spring, because I thought that would answer a lot of questions that I have in terms of which guys are up for the task, but also which guys can actually play at that level. Ultimately, if we want to be truly competitive, and I mean regionally, nationally competitive, competing to win games in the NCAA tournament, I think you probably have to be at a level close to the level that NYIT is at. So for us, it was good to see which guys were able to handle that level, and which guys weren't, quite honestly. We have some definite question marks and some holes in terms of personnel and a couple specific positions, which I knew beforehand going into the spring and as we trained throughout the spring, and then it was pretty easy to see that we have a couple pieces that we need to fill in our recruiting. But again, more positives than negatives. I think it was a really good experience for us to play against a top Division II team. They were in their conference championship game this year, have a number of scholarships, so it was good to compete against a team like that.
You mentioned, Coach, this is your first year at Manhattanville. Can you talk about the benefits and the importance of getting to work with your team in the spring instead of having a fresh start in the fall compared to maybe some other sports?
Yeah, it's nice being able to come in and have the spring season. Obviously, if you take over a program just before your official season starts, kind of everything is new. You're new to all of the players are new to you. So this will have given us an upper hand when we come back in August for preseason, in that I know and have worked now for 5 weeks with 23 guys that will be coming back, and those 23 guys will also have some understanding of things that I want to do and I want to see as their coach. So it was a major positive. Again, every coach has their own culture and philosophies that they want to get across and want to start to instill in their program, and so it just gives you an upper hand. So for that reason, it was really positive for me, and I think for the players as well, to have this spring season.
Besides installing your culture and your coaching philosophy to the Manhattanville soccer program, what else did you guys focus on this spring?
Yeah, everything we did was with the soccer ball. I'm a big believer in that just about everything fitness-wise that you need can be done with a soccer ball, which is somewhat of a new philosophy for these guys. They've done a fair amount, but we literally never put on running shoes, and we didn't just do any just strictly fitness work, kind of the old school mentality. We do a lot of different things, and we play a lot. We play a lot of small-sided games. But I'm a believer in teaching through the game, but also using the game. Ultimately, as a soccer player, you need fitness to be able to play soccer. So that was a shift, I think, a bit in terms of philosophy and mentality. But I think it's something the players enjoy. So that was a first priority, and then the second one for me was really this group has had a number of injuries to key players over the years. So really starting the process of one, just building trust with the guys, but also the guys building trust with the coaches, and then working, quite honestly, with our athletic trainers and our strength and conditioning coaches to start to talk about sort of philosophies and ideas and programs so that we can have our best players healthy. I'm a believer that the best asset a player can have is that they're available, and you need to be, as a coach, you need to be able to choose your top 18 players. And when you're missing 3 or 4 guys every game, it becomes a problem. So for me, just trying to get these guys to understand that I will do everything that I can to make sure that they're healthy to play. And I think that was a positive. And we've got some great guys on this team and some great players that have had to miss a lot of games over the past couple of seasons. So that's a priority for me in trying to get, obviously we'll probably still miss some guys with injuries occasionally, but to make that more of a rarity than an everyday occurrence.
And Coach, you bring back a lot of quality talent from last year's MAC Freedom Tournament qualifiers. Were there any specific positions or players that you were really impressed with this spring?
Yeah, obviously Christopher Stahl, Conference Defender of the Year, who's our captain. He's a top player, and he's a lead by example guy. He's vocal when he needs to be, but quite honestly, I think the best quality that a player can have in terms of leadership is just leading by example. He's the hardest working guy out there, and that's not to say there aren't other hard working guys as well, and guys working just as hard. But it's a major positive when your best players are your hardest workers, and we saw that. The upperclassmen. I think the upperclassmen showed great leadership this spring, and then some of the younger guys. It was important for me to try to get some of the younger guys to maybe let free a little bit and play with a bit more freedom, but also to have some higher expectations on themselves. I'm not a believer in sort of the class structure in terms of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Ultimately, I think you're part of a program, and whether you're a senior or a freshman, it doesn't really make a difference to me. So to just give guys freedom to play and express themselves, but also to be confident and do what they're capable of. But it certainly starts from Christopher. He's our leader and a guy that obviously is one of the best players in the conference, and in my opinion, most likely one of the best defenders in the region and maybe even in the country. So a lot of what we do will have his impact. In the fall, but he proved exactly why he is as well thought of as he is to me this spring.
And Coach, getting away from the spring, can you talk about how the recruiting process has been for the Valiants this offseason? Yeah,
again, I knew that there's a couple specific holes that I need to fill, and my assistant coach Eros has done a great job sort of in that interim period between the previous coach and me coming on in February of continuing to recruit. So we really didn't miss a step, which is that's a major positive during a coaching transition. We've landed some really good quality players. I believe that we've filled the holes that we needed to fill, and we're just about wrapped up with the recruiting class. Have a few more guys that we're still talking to, but we feel really good about the recruits we've been able to bring in. The program positively was at a point where we certainly don't need to just bring in numbers. Again, we had 23 guys this spring. We'll have, that many guys coming back. It's all about finding quality players and guys that can really come in and make an impact immediately, and we think we've done so with this recruiting class.
And finally, Coach, the spring season's wrapped up. The guys are now going to go home for the summer. You won't see them again until August. What are you hoping that they're going to focus on this offseason to help propel them to have another successful year in the fall?
Yeah, again, a lot of it is just really preparing them so that they're healthy and fit for the fall. The biggest thing for me, again, is that we have our best players available. When we play matches in the fall, I need to be able to choose from the top 18 or 20 guys every game, ideally. So it's the key is really just working on staying sharp, playing the game, but also staying healthy, injury-free, and not kind of like taking a couple of months off here and then trying in July to get fit again. Ultimately, the kind of the old school style of using your college preseason as like time to get fit, that doesn't work anymore, and that's how you get injuries and lingering injuries. So the biggest thing that these guys can do is just to continue to work throughout the summer. And I told them, the idea is that when they arrive in August, is that it's not. Don't think of it as the old school, old style of like punishment preseason and just working on fitness. We have 11 or 12 days to get ready for our first game. So preseason needs to be, June, July, and the beginning of August for them, and then the season begins when they arrive on August 18th.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck in your upcoming season.
Thank you very much.